Welcome to another episode of the Plant Powered Show with your host Neil Damerell, founder of My Lifestyle Coach, bringing you simple and honest advice on the benefits of adopting a more plant-based diet, how it can transform your health and impact the world one meal at a time, plus mindset, fitness and fun. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Plant Powered Show. Hope you're well, and today I'm going to be talking about everything in moderation. So we've heard it all before, everything's fine in moderation. You can have a bit of chocolate, it's all fine in moderation. Go and have a drink, it's all in moderation, it's not going to ruin your diet. But is the fact that everything in moderation probably could be the reason why you're not losing weight, we're not achieving the physique that we want to achieve, we're not achieving the optimum health that we want to achieve, the optimum fitness levels that we want to achieve. Because if we're all doing everything in moderation, maybe we're not doing anything to excellence. So I'm going to get stuck into today's episode and let's talk about everything in moderation. First of all, where does everything in moderation come from? What does it mean? The phrase everything in moderation, like I said, it's battered around in a load of different scenarios, but according to research, the phrase was originally spoken in the Bible by the Apostle Paul, and in this case the context of the phrase had to do with the consumption of meat that was sacrificed to idols. And again, in this context, it appears that Paul was referring to the consumption of the forbidden meat. Some folks in this day consider the kind of consumption of meat more acceptable, while others do not. So whether you believe this source or not, it's important to understand that this phrase was used to meet and justify an individual's own personal beliefs. So what does that mean when it comes to everything in moderation? And could this actually mean anything of the following? Can I eat anything in moderation? That's what we tend to look at it a lot of the time when it comes to our diet. We always think that's fine, go and have a bit of chocolate, it's all in moderation, bit of alcohol, it's all good in moderation. But literally you could say everything in moderation to anything. It could exhibit a behaviour that you want to do in moderation. It could go as far as what a person really wants to do in moderation. Maybe being sick is fine in moderation, cheating in a relationship is fine in moderation, being in debt, overspending is maybe fine in moderation. All these little things tend to be a justification for your own self-beliefs, when in fact a lot of those things, I would imagine most people, if they cheated on someone in a relationship, wouldn't be too pleased and said, oh, it's all fine in moderation. I doubt that's naturally going to cut the mustard when it comes to justifying why someone cheated. So the phrase of everything in moderation can be quite a damaging term, and we need to really kind of consider whether everything in moderation is actually what we need to be focusing on when it comes to our health in the long term. So if we take the concepts of everything in moderation, technically focusing on nutrition predominantly, not going to be talking about any relationship issues today, but let's focus entirely on how everything in moderation can help you, or certainly might not help you, eat better. So let's take a scenario, for example, where everything in moderation is your approach to your diet. So for example, on day one, someone may offer you a donut in the office, and you say, everything in moderation, that's fine, I'll have one donut. The rest of your meals have been good, your breakfast, lunch, dinner, been nice and healthy, salads and porridge and very little processed foods. Day two, you may have a little pastry with a coffee when you're out and about, first thing in the morning or at a business meeting. There might be some food on the table, and naturally you justify your choice by saying everything in moderation. Day three, Wednesday night, could be pizza night out and about with your friends. Everything in moderation, that's fine. Day 4, someone's birthday in the office, so they come in. Naturally, most people in an office bring in a birthday cake or cupcakes. How you justify a cupcake or a slice of cake? Because it's everything in moderation. Friday comes, again, it's Friday, you're justifying everything in moderation. It's Friday, so you might have a couple of beers, and you might even have a handful of chocolates. You go out to the cinema, everything in moderation. And then at the weekend, all hell breaks loose, everything in moderation, a couple glasses of wine, watching a movie at home, maybe a bit of cheese as well. And then Sunday, hey, the week's over, I'll start again tomorrow on Monday and have a nice big fat roast dinner, or go out for maybe a hangover curing meal like a burger or KFC or something like that. So as you can see, every day you've justified potentially your choices of eating healthy in moderation. But if you look back over those 7 days, it's been a week where you've had a donut, you've had some beers, and it feels like moderation, but in fact it isn't. When you're eating something from those kind of categories of non-health foods on a daily basis, it's not a treat, it's a habit. And your body then starts to build up those habits, and having any type of junk food once a day isn't moderation. It's certainly more of a lifestyle, because a treat would be something maybe once a month in my eyes, not necessarily once a day. Even once a week is probably pushing it, I think. So if you're justifying it on a daily basis, you're certainly not having the discipline, and we need to focus on how we can reinforce that by removing the function and removing that idea that everything is good in moderation. So if we look at this concept and on a more positive light, there's also been a recent concept of superfoods. You've heard it, this is a superfood salad, superfood orange, etc. But there is no such thing as a superfood. From the moment of human history, food was just food. There's been no newly discovered foods that act like nutritional superheroes in our bodies. Yes, kale is healthy, but it's healthy in the standard way our bodies expect that to be healthy. It hasn't become kale the superfood in the last decade. Healthy food should be just normal food. It's not super, it is what is expected of just natural food that is good for you. It's not made in a factory, so naturally, if it's made from the plant, made from the ground, we've grown it, it's natural, it's going to be a lot healthier for you than something that's made in a factory with tens and thousands of ingredients. So in contrast, on the junk food side of things, there are countless new and sometimes very disformed, freaky foods that kind of act as more villains in our body. So if we talk about superfoods, which are just normal foods, factory foods, are supervillains in our bodies. They are not superheroes in the world of food. They're just a lot of good people, a lot of people that have made an ordinary food very unhealthy. For example, we might have tampered with some biscuits and just made them even richer in fat and sugar, so we enjoy them even more because it's a pleasure sensor for the brain. But in fact, it takes a lot of work and time for them to create that food, and it's a lot of the time it's very lacking in nutrients and very high in unhealthy foods, so very calorie dense, which in a sense is going to lead you to gaining a lot of weight very easily, and very little in fibre as well, so you're going to always feel not very full from any food, and you want to be consuming more of it. So that's why you can sit and eat a whole packet of biscuits, chocolate in one sitting, because it's just full of fat and sugar, which takes no effort for the body to break down. So if you're looking at it, this is the major problem we have when it comes to all kinds of weird food products. There might be out there that you can say is technically food, but it's not food. It's got full of harmful chemicals, sugars, fats, and that really disturbs our natural physiological makeup. And as a result, the dietary imbalances naturally rapidly increase inflammation and kind of hormone static that can take weeks and months to clear. So if you eat unhealthy for most of the day but have a treat every day, you're actually creating an imbalance which can lead to other problems. So the question is, I've been good, now I can be bad. They've heard it before about, we talk about moderation. You've worked hard in the gym, so then you decide, because I've worked hard, I need to treat myself. You justify, and again, your choice. But when you feel like a saint, the idea of self-indulgence doesn't feel wrong, right? It feels right, like you've earned it. All right, so moral licensing the fact that you can have a treat because you've gone for a run, for example. And generally, I think this is a dangerous phenomenon. I've done it myself. In fact, today I had a big weekend of training, and I thought I had a bit of chocolate. Went for a big bar, ate the whole thing. Didn't really enjoy it. Felt a bit sick, and I was like, why did I even eat that now? It wasn't really enjoyable. I feel disgusting afterwards. So that's my chocolate done for a good few months now. Anyway, back to the topic. So when you do something and you feel good about yourself, this means that you're more likely to trust your impulses, which often means giving up and giving into yourself permission to do something bad. So if you tell yourself that you're good when you eat healthy and bad when you don't, then you're more likely to eat junk the next day if you had a good day the day before. So you're reinforcing your choices to eat bad by telling yourself that you've been good. So what we need to do is probably stop self-indulging on our morals based on the food choices, and even our exercise habits as well, because it destroys our ability to have a healthy relationship with food. If you eat a healthy food, you are getting healthy, but you're neither a bad or good person. So I think the fact is, food is going to get you healthier, but it's certainly not a pat on the back, which then reinforces you, if you want to be good, to justify the choice to be good. So if you can look at it, there's a continued belief of everything in moderation is probably quite outdated. It's ill-conceived, really, when it comes to the concepts like this one, in the results that damage our physiological focus on why people struggle to find a good balance with their health. It is really simple yet elusive for most people, and then you really need to understand where you're going wrong with this. So the lack of progress can get generally quite demotivating, and when it comes down to it, it really is the conceptual flaw that's arising from really looking at everything in moderation. Because deep down, you need to look at healthier food and then the small amount of unhealthy food, which probably brings no value. So moderation is commonly used in order to just will give us a result that will give us probably moderately unhealthy people instead of thriving people. So if you're still struggling, if we're going back over the concept of moderation, is that you're going to stay in that kind of, I'm getting healthier but I'm not as healthy as I want to be, I'm getting fit but I'm not as healthy, I'm not fit as I want to be, I'm not, I've lost a bit of weight but I'm not lost as much weight as I want to lose, because you're kind of keeping that kind of balance, you justify moderation, you're doing really well, and then you over consuming all those unhealthy foods because you believe in the concept that you're enjoying those treats. And if we take the research when it comes to moderation, actually the facts are clear that when we look at moderation, actually people struggle to achieve good results if they justify the basis that everything's good in moderation. So if we take one study, it actually came up that eating a bigger range of foods, so moderation allows you to have everything in moderation, yeah, so you're going to have a bit of chocolate, a bit of meat, vegetables, but generally you're having nothing's off the table. You can have anything unless you're allergic to certain foods, you can't have it, nothing's off the table. But one study came out that said because of the diversity of the food that someone was having, it increased their likelihood of having both a lot of healthy but also at the same time a lot of unhealthy foods, which then kind of counteracted each other. So the potential benefits of increasing the intake of fruit and veg was then counter intuitive because it outweighed by the unhealthy foods which were high in fat, salt, sugar, refined carbs, so as a result had no overall health benefit on the individual. So you're getting healthier, but at the same time you're rewarding yourself with unhealthy food at the same time. So ultimately you're still where you were started with. It's great you're having more vegetables, but ultimately having a bit of chocolate and having your 5 a day and still eating the same amount of chocolate, is still useless, isn't it? And also, the same study discovered that when the diet was that diverse, the people in the study had 120% higher waist circumference than those that had very little diet diversity. So the people that kind of didn't think about edible moderation but kind of stuck to quite a kind of basic diet, didn't really vary it too much, maybe the same meals, breakfast, lunch and dinner, not really kind of trying to bring in a load of variety in terms of their meals, stuck to a better meal plan, stuck also to a better calorie intake, and also had a lower waist circumference. So having more options generally can lead you to eating more of those options. So if you're exposed to a wide range of foods, then, and especially the ones that aren't great for you, then it can lead to an increased intake. And if we take an example of that, anytime you go to a buffet, so if you go to an all-you-can-eat dinner, Chinese, pay so much and you can have all you can eat, or generally a lot of time if you go on holiday and you got like a buffet breakfast, and then you got if you're self catering or not self catering, half board, and you've got dinner on there, or even if you go full board, you have a variety, so much variety that you think you want to choose everything, you want a bit of everything, I want to get my money's worth, but it goes completely against everything that you would eat at home. So normally you might have porridge for breakfast and that'd be it, but you have porridge for breakfast in the hotel, but also got some pastries, so you're like, well, I'm going to treat myself on my holiday, I'm going to have some pastries every day, and this could be a 2-week holiday, so no wonder if you're just having that, you could be starting to increase your weight over that 2-week period. Take the evening, for example, you might have just your normal dinners that you would do at home, but there's desserts on the table. I'm on holiday, I'm going to treat myself to these desserts, where you might not even have desserts at home ever at all. You might not even buy them in the house. So again, you're treating yourself to these desserts and you think, yes, all fine in moderation, I'm on a holiday, so, and you might have a bigger portion because I want to get my money's worth. So all this choice creates a bigger greed inside of us to have more. So you can see how easy having a bigger option ballpark to choose from can in fact lead you to increase your weight. And if we take also the example of exercise, and if we look at that tailored to maybe improving, for example, running. I'm only talking about running just because I'm a keen runner and I like to improve. However, if you were doing, say, a variety of classes in the gym, okay, so you're a gym bunny, you love all the exercise classes, you don't want to get fit, and it's great if you're enjoying them, fantastic, that's the key thing, you want to enjoy it. But if you wanted to get faster as a runner, but you were going to all these different exercise classes, but you were still running maybe once or twice a week, but you weren't running maybe 4, 5, 6 times a week, because you're doing a variety of things which creates a lot of choice, which is great, but you're not getting really tailored to what you want to achieve, is that becoming a faster runner. So you look at Mo Farah, one of the greatest English, British runners that we've had recently in the generation. He's just running all the time, and everything that he's doing is tailored around him becoming a better runner. So the strength training he's doing, the flexibility he's doing, is all down to injury prevention and making him a stronger runner. He's not going out cycling at the weekends, he's not swimming, he's not going to a body pump, he's not going to a spin class, he's not spending loads of time in the gym trying to get big and muscly. He's running. So if you want to get better at one thing, you have to focus all your efforts on that one thing. It might sound boring, but it's the way you'll succeed and excel. If you want to lose weight, you want to keep your diet maybe as rigid and as boring as possible. It might be boring, but boring is what gets you somewhere. It's what progresses you in work. You know, you turn up every day, do the same job day in day out. You might people say it's boring. Can't you get boring doing the same job? But ultimately, that's what makes you a better employee, because you're dedicated. But what was difficult on day one, after a year, is easy because you've done it so often. It's second nature. So, can you make your diet as simple as possible? You know, can you stick to keeping the breakfast very similar? Can you, or the same? You know, the lunch the same. Maybe change the dinners once a week, but keep it the same. You know, remove options when it comes to food diversity, and that should hopefully help you lower the chances and increase your chances of getting fitter, getting healthier. So if we go back to that study again, there's also another study that concluded that the findings of the participants who had greater diversities in the diets also had the worst diet quality. So when you do have a bigger choice, they found that they were eating less healthy foods. In fact, they were having less fruits and vegetables and more unhealthy foods, such as more processed foods, sodas, desserts, because nothing's off the table again. Remember, you're having more choice. You've been given the free rein to do what you want, when you want, eat what you want, and you're taking it because there's no restriction. I kind of take a side note now to the point where, think about when we were in the war, we were rationed. We couldn't have certain foods, or if we did have certain foods, we only were allowed so much. You know, because they're hard to come by, we had to be resourcefulness of what foods we could and couldn't have. However, if you look at the stats on obesity, we were probably, well, obviously because we weren't eating very much, we were still pretty healthy though, but we were a healthy weight. We weren't obese. It's only after the war ended and then factories started producing more food, obviously created a lot of economic stability and wealth, but then coming with that became more choice, became more options to drive, more options to eat more food, more options creates more choice. More choice you have, you're more likely to take the more, probably the easier option, the more luxurious option, rather than the harder option. So again, everything in moderation we're talking about today is probably the thing that's causing you not to achieve the weight that you want to achieve the results you want to achieve. And I kind of talk about this a lot with everyone I work with. And the main concept which I talk about when it comes to everything in moderation is that the only way you can probably achieve a healthy weight and stop maybe eating badly and stuff like that is to remove the options. I bought chocolate today, ate the whole lot, it's gone. Okay, it's not a really good way of doing it, and 9 times out of 10 I never buy chocolate. And I say to people, you just can't buy it, you can't have it in house, because you're going to eat it. It's just going to, if I had a couple bites and then left it in the fridge, it's going to be calling out to me all night, so I might as well eat the whole lot. I can't save it for a few days. And again, for moderation, I'm having it every night. How is that moderation with having it every night? It goes back to that other principle. If you're having a treat every day, is it a treat? It's not really a treat. So removing the option for me is the best way of safeguarding against your own willpower. I believe that all of us, deep down, our willpower is weak. Okay, so I say to people, don't buy chocolate. Just don't buy it. Don't have it in the house at all. I don't buy it. It's not there, so I can't have it. So it's on those times when you're at home, sat in front of the TV, a bit bored. I fancy a bit of chocolate. If it's not there, you can't have it. You just crack on. Maybe you don't miss it then, do you? But if it's there, you're going to more like to grab it. So if you're buying biscuits and stuff like that, they're not going to last. They're going to go. Okay, just like an alcoholic. If a person was an alcoholic and you said, "Oh, it's fine in moderation," and just put a bit of beer in the fridge, I'm sure they're not going to be coming off the alcohol. They're going to be going back drinking it because it's there. The option is there. It's easy. If you do really want to go out for a drink and they're to go down the pub, they're going to be really struggling. They're going to be like, well, okay, I've got a concept here now. I need to get out of the house, find my way, walk to the pub. So psychologically, mentally, you're reinforcing that you shouldn't be doing it, so you can give you time to think and stop. If you're really, really desperate for chocolate and there's no chocolate in the house, are you going to get up 8 o'clock in the evening, drive to the supermarket, buy some chocolate? You're going to think differently. You're probably going to think, no, it's not really worth it. I'm just going to stay home, chill out, get ready for bed. So that is the key. If you remove the option, you're generally going to take the better option. I say that about exercise. If you didn't have a car and you had to walk everywhere or cycle everywhere, that would be your only option. You wouldn't be able to just nip in the car and go, I'm just going to drive to work 10 minutes down the road, when you could walk it in half an hour. If it's raining, I've got no other option but to cycle. Just got to get on with it. I haven't got a car. So all these options here, if we didn't have the option, you had no money to take the bus, you had to cycle. All these options are ways to safeguard you and keep you from achieving your goals ultimately, because they're making things easy. You need to take the harder route. You need to remove the choices and keep things simple and basic in order to be healthy. So to conclude, talking about everything in moderation on today's episode, I don't believe everything in moderation works. In fact, it doesn't work at all. You need to remove any option that you have, such as food options. Keep the food simple. Keep your diet as simple as possible. Keep it back to basics. I always say to people that you need to buy everything with one ingredient. Don't buy packet food. Don't buy it made in a factory. Keep it as simple as possible. Buy a carrot, buy an apple, banana, beans, rice. One ingredient. Put them together. Make a healthy, nutritious meal. and try and stick to the same meals. Maybe on a weekly basis you might be able to change it, but they're your meals every day. You'll stick to the plan a lot easier than it would be if you're creating a big variety. Like we said before, variety in the end is your downfall. You're more likely to go for the unhealthier foods because you're, again, justifying everything in moderation. And again, exercise. If you want to get fit, maybe focus on one thing. You want to get strong, just focus on the gym, in the weights, just focus on that. If you want to get faster runner, better cyclist, just focus on the cycling. Triathlon, obviously you have to do all three, but you can get better, but you need to focus on one. You can't get better as a cyclist by running all the time still, and vice versa. So pick something you want, pick a diet that you enjoy, stick to the same one, don't vary it too much if at all, and eventually you'll see the results that you want to achieve, definitely. So I'm going to wrap up today's episode now. Hope you've enjoyed today's episode of the Plant Powered Show, talking about effort and moderation and why it doesn't work. If you've got any questions, feel free to hit me up on social media, on Facebook, at My Lifestyle Coach. You can give us a call, or drop us a message or comment on Instagram at Neil Damerell, also on Twitter at Neil Damerell. Again, check out my YouTube channel, Neil Damerell, where I've been doing some more weekly shows, and you can also catch this episode if you want to listen to it via the YouTube channel. So again, thanks for tuning in again for the Plant Powered Show. Be plant powered, and we'll catch you next time. Hey listener, thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Plant Powered Show. I hope you got a lot from this episode. Everything that I talked about will be in the show notes in the description below, and I'd love to hear from you, so come and connect and ask your questions. Be sure to subscribe for more information on becoming plant powered, and don't forget to rate and review so I can keep bringing you the best content. I've been Neil Damerell from My Lifestyle Coach. Peace and love, and here's to plant power.